What is up, everybody? Today we have the frontman for Verona on Venus and former guitarist from DevilDriver, Mike Spreitzer, here on Metalology. Yeah. Metalology! Welcome to the darkness. Listen to this podcast. Why are All right, guys. So today we are talking with Mike Spreitzer, one of my personal favorite guitar players of all time, from one of my favorite bands of all time, DevilDriver. I am so excited for this episode. We just got done interviewing him. We just sat down with him for an hour, 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, almost 2.
Wonderful conversation. Went by quick, huh?
Yeah, man.
God, dude. You know, what's really cool about this episode's following our episode with Dane Hallett, who worked on Alien Romulus and Mad Max Fury Road. And what was cool about that episode is he had no clue that we were interviewing Mike the following week, and he just started bringing up DevilDriver shit. And I'm like, yeah. You know, you guys go check out that episode. Dane was awesome. But today we're talking about Mike. I've been a fan for a long time. I really tried hard not to fanboy. I had this whole thing of where up top I wanted to say, like, DevilDriver's meant the world to me, man. You guys have been like the soundtrack for like a lot of hard times of my life, and I've worshipped you guys because, you know, I'm diehard.
I don't want to say too much, but I definitely surprised you held back.
I held back until the end. Until the end.
But don't worry, he's still gushing though.
Yeah,
like you still see it.
I'm tripping a little for like the first 5 minutes. I'm kind of tripping a little bit. I'm like, fuck, Mike's right there, dude. I had a moment where like when we had started, I'm like, dude, 15-year-old me would be kicking my own ass right now. Like 15-year-old me would be like, you're doing what? Wait, what's a podcast and what are you doing?
Damn, that's crazy.
He'd be fucking stoked. So I'm just so happy. Like, I'm over the moon happy that we were able to get Mike on the podcast. A gentleman, shared a lot of stories about his time in DevilDriver, some of his proudest moments, songs he worked on, musical moments that he was the most proudest of in that band. But we also talked for like the first, I want to say maybe more than half of the first hour, we talked about Verona on Venus, his new band. How big of a departure it is from DevilDriver sound and his approach to writing, you know, everything from vocals, lyrics, music, even down to the visual artistry that is involved with that band. Pretty cool shit. I don't want to give the episode away. You guys are going to have a lot of fun checking out this episode. But before we get started, first we have to introduce everybody, because I forgot to do that when we were talking with Mike. Mike himself had to say, that's how nervous I was, bro. Mike himself had to say, who? Okay, so let me get everybody's names. You guys, I'm your host, Anthony Esparza, and to the right of me is my Peruvian petite co-host.
What's up, guys? Metalhandro, and in front of me,
you got to give him
the luscious, the long locks.
Spanish.
En español, más quiero decir que me gustas y quiero introducir a todos a.
Buenas tardes, es Rudy Gómez.
Rudy Gómez.
Al lado de mí
es el pendejo,
yo boy.
El hijo de la chingada,
the greatest man alive, your boy, Bagi.
Why the fuck are you wearing sunglasses?
Yeah, what's going on, bro?
It's too bright.
So we're gonna talk about this. So we're gonna talk about this.
No, we're gonna talk about this because so I get here to get I get here an hour and a half. First. Mind you guys are both on my shit list, anyways. But
you got here way first.
You guys got here like 10 minutes before we started the interview. I was like, dude, I'm gonna fucking have a panic attack.
Were we ready? We were ready, bro.
You guys were ready.
We were fucking ready.
You guys were ready. I get here and Bagi is fucking dying. I'm like, dude. Now Bagi is also a big DevilDriver fan, like I am, and a lot of my first moments with DevilDriver, going to see them live for the first time, listen to their albums, this and that, was with Bagi. So I assume Bagi would be pretty stoked on this. I get here, and he's on the couch, passed the fuck out.
I was dying.
Yeah, okay. You don't have to speak no more. Let your eye do the work. You guys can subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. Don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, we post clips on our shorts. Follow us on TikTok because that's where it's kind of hitting off for us a little bit. We post clips on there as well. You guys can follow us on Instagram to see some little fun behind-the-scenes stuff and to get like teases for upcoming episodes. We're just going to kind of jump into it because this episode meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I was so happy that Mike jumped on. Such a class act. Had a great time talking with him. And I really think you guys are going to enjoy this episode. So, you know what? Let's jump into it. What is up, guys? Today we are sitting down with the man, Mike Spreitzer. What is up, Mike? Thank you so much for coming on, man.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So we've had this podcast for a long time now, and we've talked about DevilDriver multiple times. I've talked about Mike multiple times. You know, we shared a lot of stories about our first, myself and Alberto or Bagi, our first. Your first concert was a DevilDriver show, like
It was with Guar.
with Gore back in House of Blues 04, 05. It was
05.
Oh,
It was 05.
Yeah, 05.
I actually have a picture with you, Mike, where I literally ditched school to go to this 21 and up venue in San Diego, and waited outside the bus just to get pictures with everybody. And I got pictures with everybody but John. John was the one dude I didn't get a picture with, but I was so stoked. And yeah, it's an honor to have you on, man. I'm pretty excited.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thank you for the support over the years. 20 years is
Definitely.
a long time.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah. It's been a minute, and I'm super stoked about your new project, and that's the main reason I wanted to have you come on. I wanted to talk about Verona on Venus and all that. But just just before we get started, last week we interviewed concept designer Dane Hallett. I don't know if you remember him, but he actually brought up DevilDriver on the episode. He's worked on Alien Romulus, he's worked on Mad Max Fury Road, stuff like that, and sharing some stories about following you guys around in Australia. So big shout out to Dane.
The DevilDriver tattoo there, man. I loved DevilDriver. DevilDriver were playing at a festival in Australia. And so what I did was, man, I fucking tracked all the possible flights that they'd be taking from festival to festival.
We're interviewing Mike Spreitzer
next Sunday. Oh,
So
fuck
I'm
yeah.
like-
What's he doing now?
He's doing a band called Verona on Venus. He says hi.
Hello.
All right, so just to get started, we want to focus a lot more on Verona on Venus because I'm pretty sure you've talked a lot about DevilDriver. We'll have some DevilDriver questions a little bit later. But first, I just want to start. What's the meaning behind the name Verona on Venus?
Nothing terribly interesting. It took me a long time to figure out what I was going to call the band. And um, I wanted something that I could make a symbol out of, for one. And I know I wanted it to be symmetrical. And um, I was just nerding out on YouTube, watching videos about space, which I have a tendency to do.
Yeah,
And
the rabbit hole.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was watching a bunch of videos about how the Russians sent these probes to Venus in, I think, the 70s, maybe the 70s and 80s, maybe. And they were called Venera. So the first thought that came to my mind was Venera on Venus, but I believe Venera just means Venus in Russian, and that didn't really make sense. And somehow the word Verona came to me, and I was like, Verona on Venus. So, I get online and Google it and go to the trademark office and do a search, and everything was available, on Instagram, Facebook, just across the board. And I just liked the way it sounded, and if people wanted to abbreviate, they could say VOV. And I just thought that was a cool name. It was going to be really easy for me to set everything up. And my fiance Priscilla had a friend named Jason Wan that created the logo and the symbol for me, and also did the album cover for the first record, and just all kind of fell into place. Not the most interesting story in the world, but it's very hard to come up with a band name these days.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
I know, like every time we've talked to bands, it's always we went through like 100 different bands, band names. We try to had multiple conversations, Google everything, try to make sure it's like unique and it's its own. It's very common just to like kind of. It's very rare to have a band name that you just kind of stick with, or just come up with right off the bat. But either way, killer band name. When you dropped the band name, I was like, what does that mean? It's like a mystery. It's cool. It's like a lore in a way. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
There's gotta be a story
I
behind it.
need to come up with a cooler story to start telling people, because I need a good lie. But unfortunately, there's too much information out there already. I'd get caught in my lie right away.
Yeah. So as a guitarist stepping into the frontman position, I'm curious to know what that experience was like for you. Were you always planning on being the vocalist for Verona on Venus?
No. And I've spent many days leading up to the first show going, what the fuck was I thinking? Because I'd never done it before.
Mhm.
And after 20 years, I felt very comfortable hiding behind a guitar.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
I finally came to the conclusion that if I wanted to do Verona on Venus for the rest of my life, I didn't want to have to rely on anybody else but myself.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of singing in college, nothing like Verona, obviously. It was like classical stuff. And I didn't want, you just hear all these horror stories of, you know, bands doing well, they got to change the vocalist, and then it's just downhill.
Yeah.
There are a few. AC/DC did it. Arch Enemy has done it twice,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep on getting bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
trip to
it
be
is
part
a
of.
trip. I just had this long conversation with myself where it's like, if I want to do this for the rest of my life, no matter what, I'm going to have to learn how to sing. And I just dove in. The Bones of Baby Dolls was the first thing that I recorded. And I did that because I felt like, I'm going to go into this singing someone else's song. Like, I don't even want to try to write lyrics yet. So, that was the stepping off point for me. I didn't know what I was going to sound like. Um, I didn't even really know what kind of direction I was going for when I was working on Popular Delusions. That album was kind of an experiment for me. And after, God, I mean, I started working on that record 6 years ago. That already seems very old to me, but I've gotten to the point now where I feel like I know what direction I want Verona on Venus to go in, and it's much more along the lines of, the three singles that I've released after the record being Pretty, War Baby, and No One, as well as songs like Monarch Acid Test,
Yeah. That song
things like
kills.
that.
Yeah, that song fucking kills,
So,
by the way.
I've always had this love for industrial music, and I definitely put some of that in Popular Delusions, but I wasn't. I was tinkering with other ideas throughout
Yeah.
the record, and after a while, I just knew that I wanted to do something completely different than DevilDriver. I did not want it to sound like DevilDriver at all,
Yeah.
and but I don't know why I didn't do more stuff like Monarch Acid Test and Pretty and War Baby. I just was doing what I was feeling like at the time.
Yeah.
But now I got a better idea. At least for the next record, I know I have a better idea of where it's going to go.
Yeah. What's really cool about this project is I feel there are some parallels between what you've been doing with Verona and what West Portland did with Black Light Burns. I don't know if you've heard that project. That was from like
I'm a
the
big fan of that first record that he did.
got it. Same.
Oh,
Me and
yeah.
Alberto were huge fans of that record. And I remember like leading up to that record, when they announced Wes Borland was going to be doing the vocals, I was like, really? Like Wes? I've seen him do some backup here and there, but I was so caught off guard and surprised when I heard that record. And I draw some parallels between that project and this project a little bit.
Did you try out different singers, or was it like before you came to the conclusion, like, you know what, I think I have something to say here, or like a style like that I can bring into this project?
I had one singer in mind, this guy named Matt that sings in a band called Human, and he's a friend of uh, my fiance Priscilla. She's worked with him she used to be on the board of directors with Rock to Recovery, and she suggested Matt to me at one point, and I don't even think he knows that I was going to ask him, but somewhere between, you know, thinking about looking for a singer and even trying someone out, I came to the conclusion that I just have to do it myself. I'm not going to mention any names, but I do have a close friend that went through absolutely hell with his singer, and it's I was like, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I've seen, and it's not just him. I've seen it a million times. We all have.
Sure.
You know, singer leaves a band, and you could, I mean, you could have. I mean, for God's sakes, fucking Pantera is doing just fine these days, you know, without Diamond Vinny.
Yeah.
And, but swapping out a singer is tough. It really changes everything up. So I didn't want to go through that. I've spent way too much time putting this whole thing together and money. And this is going to be my baby until I die. And I don't, you know, one way or another, I will be releasing music through Verona on Venus until my body just won't let me do it anymore.
Got it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're killing it. Like I was like when I heard the tracks, I was so surprised that was your voice, that was you. At first, because I think the first one the video I saw was Rodent, and it didn't look like you at all. I'm like, who's singing for Mike? Who's
A lot of
who's on
people
this?
didn't know that was me.
Yeah.
I mean, even my family members were like, who was that? You know, with the nails in his head. I'm like, me. And I wasn't trying to hide my face. One of the reasons I actually ended up taking it out now, but you know, I had a lip ring for over 20 years, and I was like, I'm gonna leave that in to kind of just, you know, if people want a little Easter egg to know that it's me or not. But a lot of people didn't pick up that it was me right away.
Yeah, it looked what did I tell you? It looked like a painted up Devin Townsend for a minute. That's who you reminded me of in that video, like a painted up Devin Townsend.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Yeah, but
All
you
right.
sounded amazing.
I'll take it.
You sounded awesome. Who would you say are some of the biggest influences that you've pulled from vocally and lyrically that influence what you've done in Verona?
Lyrically, nobody. I've never been a person that really paid attention to lyrics. And I've recently found out that kind of not paying attention to what songs are about is mostly in the metal genre. I have started listening to a lot of mainly like bluegrass. You know, the Dead South is one of my favorite bands, and
Oh, fucking love that guy.
you know, Dez got me into a lot of outlaw country back in the day, and especially like Hank 3. And his album Straight to Hell was like the tipping point for getting me into country music. And there's a lot of bad country. I don't like poppy country.
Yeah.
And it's got to be dark. It's got to have a little bit, you know, like little undertone of evil in it. And Hank 3's Straight to Hell was a good starting point for me. And I started noticing that I was really paying attention to the lyrics when I was listening to that record, and all the lyrics that from any outlaw country or bluegrass band that I've been getting into lately. So there's something about metal where I just don't care what the song is about. Now, I didn't want to go into writing Popular Delusions and just, you know, write songs that people weren't going to pay attention to the lyrics. And I made a promise to myself that I'm never going to tell anybody what my songs are about. They are a little bit vague, but there is a meaning there. But I want the listener to interpret what I'm saying themselves, at least for now.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. Was it a challenge to move away from the sound you helped form in DevilDriver when it came to writing for Verona on Venus? Were there any specific things from DevilDriver's sound that you wanted to steer away from for this project?
Well, when I first started writing for this project, I even went as far as, you know, when I'm at, this is my studio, this is where I write. And, you know, I've got, you know, I program drums to my songs, before, you know, write it, program drums to it, mix it down, and send it off to Dez. And, you know, he would critique it, give me some notes, send it back. And the first thing I did was build a drum kit in Superior Drummer that only had one kick drum.
Wow.
So I would purposely not write anything with double kick.
Okay.
to force myself to kind of go in a different direction. That lasted for about a week. It didn't work. Um, but I haven't said this out loud to anybody yet, but I tried to write another DevilDriver record, and there was a moment where me, John Boecklin, and Jon Miler were all working on a record together, and I just wasn't feeling it anymore.
Yeah. Damn.
I had just in my head, looking back now, even at that point, I had kind of moved on. I did write a handful of songs, and I think they're good songs, and I'm actually going to be releasing them eventually. I've got there's a band named Tortured Saint that I've uh, mixed their records for a few years, and I'm trying to get Jeremy, the singer, to sing on these songs just so I can sell them to a music library to get licensed out to movies
Oh, okay.
and TV shows. I gave them a record many, many years ago with some leftover DevilDriver stuff that never made it. And so those songs that might actually see the light of day eventually, but finding the time to get it done has been pretty difficult. But writing for Verona, at least instrumentally, that was pretty easy for me. Writing lyrics, that since I had never done it before, and doing the vocals, that was a bit of a process. But a lot of these songs that are on Popular Delusions, like I've had them around for years,
Yeah.
long time. There's one song that I wrote like 12. Oh no, it was Red Dead Rose.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say the song was finished. I definitely, when I revisited it, but that's a song that I started writing, I think, 13 years ago.
Wow.
Dang.
So it's been sitting in the closet pretty much, just waiting to come out.
Yeah. So I just started going through a lot of my old stuff that I was working on, had no idea what I was going to do with it because, for so many years, it's just I was too busy with DevilDriver to do anything else.
Yeah.
And so when the pandemic came around and everything just stopped for everybody, I was like, well, I guess this is a good time for me to start working on Verona.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. So that DevilDriver album that you guys were working on, was that while Boecklin was still in the band, or was that towards the end of
No, he wasn't going to rejoin the band, but he was going to come back and write the album with us.
Gotcha.
Me, Boecklin, and Miler were, and Jeff were, obviously we all wrote and contributed to the record. And when Miler rejoined the band, Miler and Boecklin grew up together, and I've always kept in touch with all the guys. And Boecklin hit me up one day and was like, "Oh, what you think about if I don't want to rejoin the band?" He was too busy. He always will be too busy with Bad Wolves, but he had some time off, and he was like, "Dude, let's write another DevilDriver record together." And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And I won't get into the reasons why it didn't work out, but unfortunately, it didn't work out. Boecklin was the first one to throw in the towel, and then eventually I did, and it's just unfortunately it was just time to move on.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Verona's music. All right, so I want to get to this video because I watched it and I was like, I gotta ask him this. Verona's music video for your cover of Diane Wood's "No One" was awesome. The idea to do an all-white music video was executed in a very creepy but really cool way, and I really wanted to know how that video came about.
Okay, so I did the video for Pretty, and I didn't want to have a big production on that video. I just wanted to keep it simple, do it at home, do it myself, and see how well I could maybe edit it on my own without hiring someone else to do it.
Wow.
And so I filmed that whole thing myself. I kind of kept it low res, with a very VHS type of look to it. My fiance Priscilla does all my PR for me. She's been a publicist for a long time, and she's Zach Wild's publicist right now. So she knows what she's doing, and I'm always asking her opinion on things. Maybe I could just do this video myself. And she kind of looked at me and she's like, if it sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I'm like, all right. So I started filming it, started editing it, and I was like, all right, come in and take a look and let me know what you think. And she was like, that is so fucking cool. I'm like, okay, good. I got this. It wasn't done yet, but I got this. So when it came around to doing the DevilDriver video, I wanted to do the exact opposite. I was like, I want it to be very high definition. I'm going to hire my director, Vicente, again to help me do it. But I want to edit it myself.
Mhm.
So I just hired Vicente to film it with me. And then he gave me all the footage. Now, where I got the idea to do all white, honestly, I can't remember. It probably came about with my idea of just making it completely opposite of pretty and just doing it, with it being all white was going to make it look very high resolution.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I sat down and I had the idea for the video. Everything just kind of came along little by little. It's like, okay, so we're going to have a completely white room. And we're going to get a girl to do Yolandi's parts. And I'll be dressed in all white. I'll paint my face white. And I was like, okay, well, why don't we put white contact lenses in? And then I just got on, OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace and just started looking for. I mean, that's how I acquired everything in that video for the most part. The table, the baseball bats, the speaker,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
the white plants, the vase,
Wow.
everything except for the drywall that we beat to shit at the end. That was I got that at Lowe's.
Hell yeah.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, it was just just little by little piecing things together, and luckily it came out well. We got it all done in one day, the shooting aspect of it, and then I finished editing that video 1 hour before I released it.
Wow.
It took
That
me. I mean, it's only the second video I've ever edited, so it was kind of a slow process. But I want to say I spent 5 days editing that video.
Wow.
And I had worked with Calico before when she did some stuff on Wednesday 13's record, Nerophaze. I produced that record, and he brought her in. And right off the bat, Calico is just one of the coolest people you could ever meet. She just lights up the room when she comes in. She's got a great sense of humor. She's very easy to work with. She's extremely talented. And she was my first and only choice to do all the female vocals on it. And she definitely had the shittiest job on that video.
Oh, okay.
Like all the blood that we had to do and everything. I mean,
Jeez.
God, she was such a trooper.
Yeah.
She really came through for me, and I cannot thank her enough.
I really want to get into this part because I noticed that the songs, it's not, the project isn't a straight up metal project. I really enjoyed the balance between metal and rock with songs like Rodent and Monarch Acid Test. When you began Verona, was it the intention to develop a band that danced between the genres, or did it happen organically as you continue to write?
It was organic. When I first started it, I don't think I wanted it to sound like an industrial band. And Monarch Acid Test was not like even Austin when he did drums on that record. We did that. That was like a second separate session that we did because I wanted another song on the record, and I was like, well, I got this cool song that I started writing years and years ago, and so I got we set up another session. I had Austin do drums on it, and when I got to doing vocals on that song, I wrote the lyrics, and it went by like that. Like it took me just a few hours to record that song, as opposed to like Rodent. Oh my God, I must have rewrote that song 100 times. And no joke, there are lines on that record. I want to say like "Flood's a Burden." Just getting my feet wet with the whole singing thing, and luckily, I don't think it'll ever take me this long again because I was literally teaching myself how to sing at the same time. That I think I probably did somewhere between 300 400 takes on some lines in "Flood's a Burden" until I got it right, and I would spend all day working on it. Wake up the next day, listen to it, and throw it right in the trash and start all over again.
Yeah.
But Monarch Acid Test came real easy. I'm in the headspace now where it's just like, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. I might embrace the weakness a little bit just to keep myself busy and try to, just kind of push myself a little bit. But Pretty came very easily. War Baby came very easily. And, I didn't have to write the lyrics for no one, but, I knew what kind of vibe I was going to go for. And it's like, okay, this is what I want Verona to be like. And I know now that I'm in a better headspace, I can do so much better. Like, I'm so excited to get the next record out. And we've only written one song at this point. We actually played it at the Whiskey, a song called Choke the Ghost. But I'm really excited about album number 2. And I haven't really had a whole lot of time to really dig into it. But now that I got the first show out of the way, and all the prep that went into the first show, a lot of that preparation's already done. So the second show is going to be a lot easier for me.
That's cool.
And for my band.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What I like about this project with you, and just talking with you is, not having a ton of experience with singing, and you're stepping into that frontman position, and then even editing, No One too is like you. That was only the second video you've ever edited. It seems like this project is challenging you in a lot of ways. Do you feel like you're being challenged more with this project than you were during your time in DevilDriver?
Oh yeah. In DevilDriver, I had to write some riffs, throw some songs together, structure everything, program some drums, play some bass on it, give it to Dez, have him do vocals, and I do all the demoing, and then it's just kind of see what our producer thinks once we get into the studio and re-record everything and clean everything up. And yeah, doing vocals for me, doing bass, all the electronics, everything. I did not mix and master my own records. I did not want to do that. By the time I got done writing it and it was done, I was like, there is no fucking way on earth I am going to mix this thing. So I had 5 people do test mixes, and Lasse Lammert from who's a German guy that I had met before, and he was I think he was the last guy I contacted, because he mixed a song for a friend of mine. When they sent it to me, I was like, who the hell mixed that? And he was like, Lasse. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about Lasse. So I hit him up immediately, and I was like, will you do a test mix for me? And he I think I had everyone work on Dead Heroes Hang. And a lot of the other guys, I mean, they were all good, but there was something about Lhasa that when I got his mix, I was like, yep, this is my guy. And he's mixed pretty, he mixed War Baby, he did No One, and he's just, I think he's going to be my mixing engineer for a very long time.
The visuals for Verona on Venus are unique and cinematic. The video for Rodent reminds me a lot of Aiko Ishioka's art direction for The Cell in particular. Are there any artists that are influencing what you are doing with Verona on Venus visually, musically, or non-musically?
No, not really. I just wanted it to be dark and sinister, but I didn't want it to be gory. I'm not a
Gotcha.
fan of gore. I'm not even much of a fan of horror movies in general. Which is actually kind of a funny story. When I was producing that Wednesday 13 record, I think Wednesday was in here, Jack and Rahman, and they were started talking about all these different, classic horror movies like Rosemary's Baby, The Omen, Exorcist. And I'm just kind of sitting here like, God, I hope they don't ask me if I've seen these movies.
That's
Carrie
hilarious.
was one of them. And they're like, this scene, Mike? And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I haven't seen any of those movies. And I swear the look on their face was like, should we fire this guy? I mean, Wednesday and a lot of the other guys are so into that, a whole genre of horror that once we finished every day after we were done recording, I spent one night for probably 2 weeks watching a classic horror movie.
Oh, dang.
It's like
And
homework, pretty much.
I
Yeah.
felt bad, man. I was just like, okay, I should have done this before I started working with them to kind of get myself in the vibe. But and actually, I think it kind of helped, because it was very early in the recording process that they heard that I hadn't seen any of those movies, and I think it kind of helped me get more into the headspace that I should have been in when I was working on that record with them. But I make notes in my phone. I'll be watching something, and something will spark in my head. And believe it or not, I did watch The Cell, I will admit, to try to get some inspiration.
Yeah.
And I had already seen it, but there wasn't. That might have that might have been what led me to want to do it out in the desert. But honestly, I think we had that idea before I saw The Cell, but I can't remember for sure. That might be the reason why we chose to do it out in the desert. But um, my ideas do come from someplace, and sometimes I remember where they come from, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. It's just like subconscious. It's something that'll just sit back there until it comes out. Rudy. Okay, so what's funny because you bring up the Wednesday 13. Everybody was watching horror movies, and that's not really your thing. We kind of have the same thing here where Rudy, he's off screen right now. Rudy's probably the biggest horror fan, and I'm like the biggest sci-fi fan. So anytime these guys are all together, we saw Terrifier 2 or whatever, I'm like, I don't fucking know what that shit is. You guys seen Dune yet? No? Oh, fuck you guys. So I know what it's like to be the one in that room.
I love sci-fi. That's my jam. And sci-fi is kind of like industrial music, where there's a lot of them out there, but there's just not that many really good ones. So when you find a really good sci-fi movie, it really makes me happy. And I will watch a good sci-fi movie over and over and over again.
Got it. What's a sci-fi movie you've seen recently that really stuck out to you?
I mean, it's not recently, but I really was into Interstellar because it took me I was able to watch that movie so many times until I finally understood it completely.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a while. You don't really get it the first time around. God, I don't know. Refresh my memory. What's come out recently?
I think Dune.
That's
I think Dune 2 was like the biggest one that's come out.
I like the new Dune movies. I liked them, but I can't say I love them. And I did watch the originals a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably like when I was like 17 or 18 years old. Star Wars has left the building for me.
Same.
Same.
I think we're all done with Star Wars. We're done with Star Wars.
Dude, I mean, they can't film a good lightsaber scene to save their life.
Right?
It looks like a bunch of like 4-year-olds that are like
Mhm.
playing with sticks.
Yeah.
And I was watching. Okay, I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing this right. Oshaka. What was this?
Ahsoka.
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 Ahsoka. Thank
Yeah,
you. I started watching that, and I got maybe 4 episodes in. I was like, "That's it. I'm not watching any more Star Wars." I just thought it was absolutely god awful.
yeah. Yeah, I'm off the train with the Star Wars Disney Plus shows. I think the only one I'll stick with is Andor, but it feels like that's on a different level. Everything else has been what's going on here.
Yeah,
and
what the
and I love that you bring up the lightsaber fights too, because that's been what's been lagging a lot since like 2015, The Force Awakens. How the fuck are you gonna film a scene with Darth Maul in 1999 Phantom Menace, and even Revenge of the Sith with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, where those lightsaber battles are amazing, and then fast forward 20 plus years later, and we can't hire choreographers to make this look cool. We can't get directors to make this look cool. I don't know. I'm right there with you, man. I get it.
I don't know why they don't. All you got to do is bring back Ray Park.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Just bring him back.
Mhm.
Give us and then they teased us with Ray.
Mm-hmm.
In that one little, it was in the trailer where she has a double bladed light or double sided lightsaber,
Yeah.
and it was like just a dream. There was no fight, and it's like, I was really looking forward to that. And you guys, you threw it out there, got us all excited, and let us down once again.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going down this this sci-fi rabbit hole now.
I got one more sci-fi question for you before we get
Sure.
back to Verona. Okay. This is a debate I'm having with a buddy of mine. Would you consider Alien to be? I know everybody differentiates the first Alien and the second Aliens, but just Alien as a whole, horror or science fiction? I know there's a hybrid of both, but which one would you have it lean more towards?
Science fiction for sure.
Got
I
it,
would
got it.
say it's like 70% science fiction. Yeah, it's kind of in the vein of Event Horizon. That's one of those movies too that kind of ventures into
dude.
the horror thing a little bit.
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah, I love that movie. And I do love the Alien movies. I actually sat down and watched every single one of them again, except for one. There's one that I do not like, and I actually walked out of the movie theater. I thought it was so bad.
Oh shit.
God damn.
I'm not sure. It was the what's the guy's name from Eastbound and Down?
Danny McBride. So you're Alien
Danny
Covenant.
McBride.
Yeah.
Did not like that one.
Yeah. No.
Just did not do it for me. Yeah, I didn't like that one. And he doesn't live with me anymore, but for 10 years I lived with this guy named Patrick who plays in Lita Ford's band.
Oh
He's
shit. Okay.
her guitar player, and he ended up getting married, and I'm engaged now, so we're like, well, I guess it's time to grow up, so we need to find our own places. But he is a massive Alien fan, and I remember I came home from the theater and was like, what'd you think? I'm like, I didn't even stay for the whole thing. And it would get interesting. I'm like, okay, it's getting better. It's getting better. And then I'd be like, I think I'm going to leave. And then it would kind of get better again, and then it would leave. And the scene where they're playing the flute, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he hands it to him and he says, okay, let me do the fingering now. I was like, that's it. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm checking out.
Just like, what is going on with this movie? So I was just not into it.
Yeah.
But, and the funny, I love Danny McBride. I was so happy that he was in it. I love that dude. But yeah, that's the one Alien movie that just didn't do it for me.
Yeah. It's like just checked out. Getting back onto Verona, because I could talk all day about sci-fi movies. Have any non-metal influences crept into your songwriting now that you're steering the ship with Verona?
I was really into Billy Howerdel's newest record.
Another wave's on the way. Another moment's passing by. While you and I pretend there was something left to try.
And anybody listening to this needs to go out and listen to that record. To me, it's
Okay.
just as good as any Perfect Circle record.
Wow.
I don't know why he didn't go under the name Ashes Divide for this one,
Mm-hmm.
like he did before when he was just, doing his own thing without Maynard.
I love that
But
project.
I think his newest record is just phenomenal. It is so good. And Danny Lohner from who previously of Nine Inch Nails produced it with him. And it's just blown away by that. And I do think that had some influence on me, with songs like Rodent
Yeah.
when I was working on the record.
I can hear
But
it.
yeah, not a whole lot, man. It ended up sounding like one person reviewed the record, and I thought she really nailed it. She said Popular Delusions was a warm hug from the 90s.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
I was like, okay, that, I like that, because to me, the 90s was the pinnacle of underground industrial music and goth. And I don't think we'll ever have, or at least for me, have bands come out like that again. I mean, there's just so much good stuff came out of the 90s, and that's all that stuff has influenced me. But there was no place for it in DevilDriver.
Yeah.
And if you listen closely, there are little tidbits like leads that you could listen to and go, I could hear a little bit of Sisters of Mercy in there,
Yeah.
But they were undertones. They weren't at the forefront of the music. It just DevilDriver just didn't have any kind of place for that in this kind of music.
Yeah.
I also have a great love for Scandinavian metal, In Flames, Opeth, At the Gates. Obviously they're not Scandinavian, but Carcass's artwork is like my all-time favorite death metal record. So I used influence from genres or bands like that for DevilDriver, and when I bounced over to Verona, it was kind of like, all right, this is, mostly what I listened to when I was in high school and early college. And I'm going to start drawing inspiration from what I've actually been wanting to do my whole life, because I kind of fell ass backwards into DevilDriver. I let, Jeff and Jon Miler, they didn't have any place to live in between tours. And we were all friends from college, and our older bands, would always play shows together just at like the local bars, and I let them stay, and I had an extra room in this house that I was living in, and I would let them stay there in between tours, and that's what led to me joining DevilDriver. They're just like, dude, we need a guitar player. Can you go to Europe in 2 days? Sure. Let's stay up all night and drink a shit ton of Red Bull and learn all the songs. And I was only supposed to be temporary for this one tour, and I came home and they hired me on permanently, and it lasted 20 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I ended up going more the mellow route rather than what I'm doing now. But if I hadn't joined DevilDriver, I probably would have been doing music more like Verona right out the gate when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah. I love that 90s that reference, because I can see it now, because the 90s is also one of my favorite musical time periods, so probably my favorite. All the artists they sounded completely different from each other, or different enough to where they had their own unique identities. And I could definitely see that with Verona. I want to talk about this right now, because a bunch of buddies of mine had bugged me to go to the debut show for Verona at the Whiskey, and last minute I had to bail because my babysitter got sick, and so I have a 13-year-old at home. Well, he's going to be 13 in a few weeks. But babysitter, right, fell through. So I was stuck watching the clips online, and I saw you growing on stage, and I was like, "What the fuck is Mike doing?" Um, so I just want to know, is that because the clip that's online right now is for Pretty. That's the one that's on YouTube. Is that going to? Do you plan on that being a permanent staple in the live show, or was that just kind of like a one-off just for the debut show?
I'm gonna utilize that for a while.
Got it.
When I get to the end of the, I don't want to, you do a bit and then you move on and do the next bit. So I'm always going to be trying to come up with new ideas for the live show, and I'm just getting my feet wet with this whole thing. But I wanted to recreate myself from the Rodent video
Yeah.
for the live show, and just going back and forth. I was like, okay, well, I need a scissor lift, and man, I searched high and low for something that, Googling things like scissor lift or just lift or
Mhm.
whatever, and I couldn't find anything that was electrical that, was either small and light enough that I could put on wheel on stage, and also under $10,000.
Mhm.
And finally, once again, just through going through OfferUp, I came across these things called lift columns, and I was like, okay, I think this will work.
Yeah.
And I found a lighting road case, gutted it, put these lifting columns inside of it,
Mhm.
and I was like, I can't walk. In the Rodent video, I'm standing on a ladder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just not going to work. It's not going to be cool enough. So I got to figure out a way where I can, put that dress on me and then get lifted up just during the last part of Pretty at the end, at the finale of the show. And, once again, I think I got that thing working the night before the show.
Wow.
And I mean, to look at it, it's nothing that you would think would be so complicated, but I had problems with the lifting columns, just automatically stopping on the way down. I didn't want to get stuck up there. The first two that I found used aren't made anymore, and I needed four after I found out that two was going to be too wobbly because I did not want to have a Spinal Tap moment on stage.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh man, and which I was kind of prepared for, but I luckily it I can't. I mean, the funny thing is like right before we went on too, while we were line checking, something was going wrong with it, and luckily I was able
Oh
to fix
no.
it within like 30 seconds, and I was like, okay, hopefully it will remain fixed for 40 minutes until we get to the last song, and it did. So.
God
Yeah,
man.
everything with the first show went pretty damn well. I didn't feel like burying my head in the sand after the first show, and I got some good feedback, and it was so much work that leading up to it. And also the other thing too is I went through 4 members in 3 months for my
Mhm.
for my live band. And it was all just due to scheduling conflicts. It's like we're not 20 years old anymore, and scheduling rehearsals was a nightmare. um you know and people got jobs, people got other responsibilities, and Neil from DevilDriver was supposed to be my guitar player, but he lives in Portland now, and he has a very
Mhm.
busy schedule with Carnifex. And he was on tour with Carnifex during when the show was booked. um my guitar player Lucas, who was supposed to play the show, had scheduling conflicts and couldn't make rehearsals, so I had to replace him just temporarily. Luckily, I found this guy named Jeremy Conman that um, the only reason I found him is because he plays in a band that I used to listen to and actually still listen to a lot called London After Midnight.
Oh shit.
And I've been listening to them since I was 15 years old, and we became Instagram friends, started, I hit him up and I was like, dude, like, I've seen London After Midnight at festivals. When are you guys going to be playing a club show in LA? I want to see like a proper London After Midnight headlining show. And we just started talking. So I brought him on, and due to Neil being in Portland and everything, and scheduling rehearsals being such a nightmare, I was like, Jeremy, you're staying in the band.
Yeah.
London After Midnight doesn't do that many shows, and he also plays in another band called The Awakening, and they don't play a whole lot either, so he has the time, and he loves all the same stuff that I do. Like, he's into sci-fi. He loves, we both have a love for going to Disneyland, for God's sakes.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And all the 90s music that most of my friends have never heard of, all that industrial goth underground stuff. I mean, he knows every single band. It's like, it's really cool to have someone like that. Luckily, my drummer Austin is solid. Like, he wants to get this project up and running just as much as I do. Still looking for a permanent bass player, but luckily Troy from Wednesday 13 was kind enough to learn everything and fly out for the show.
That's killer.
And then I borrowed a guy named Austin from a band called Thrown into Exile. Austin's also too busy to, Thrown into Exile to be a permanent member. So we had two temporary guys for the show. I mean, it got to be such a problem that I almost put the bass on tracks in the background.
Yeah. Oh,
But
man.
I really did not want to do that. I just have all the I don't want a keyboardist in the band, so I just put all that stuff on the laptop and we play to a click track. But maybe one day I'll be able to afford a keyboardist. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nightmare, man. And like I said, Lucas is still going to be in the band, and Jeremy's permanent now. Austin's permanent. I just need to find a bass player that does not play in 5 bands already and is in the Los Angeles area. That
Gotcha.
isn't, preferably under the age of 40. And doesn't have 3 kids at home, so he has time to rehearse and go on tour, because I really need to get back on tour, man. I miss it so much.
Yeah, I bet. Oh man. Yeah, because DevilDriver, you guys, when DevilDriver was more active, before Cold Chamber kind of came back into the fold, DevilDriver was like a machine. Like, you guys were on tour, or at least it seemed like you guys were on tour all the time.
6 to 9 months out of every year
Yeah.
for, I would say, the first decade.
Jeez.
Damn.
I mean, there was one, I think it was in 05 on that Guar, after that Guar tour. I mean, dude, when Guar goes out, they go out. At least they did back then. I mean, I think we had to play 23 shows in a row without a day off on that tour.
Damn.
And I think we ducked out the last 2 shows. We finished things up in New Jersey and then flew directly to Europe to do a tour with Lamb of God.
Wow.
And I think we did 75 shows around that in 3 months. We toured and toured and toured, and I loved it. We all did, and everyone in that band, we were just so hungry for success. It's like, no, we're gonna make this work. By the time we released The Fury, we started really seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and then we released Last Kind Words, and we are just like, okay, this is working. And we just toured our asses off, and it was great.
That's killer.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. We actually, what's cool about that, the House of Blues show with Gore, in 05. So the 3 of us actually went to that show. Myself and Alberto specifically went for DevilDriver.
In what city?
San Diego.
Oh, okay, got it.
So we specifically went to go see DevilDriver, and we were gonna dip right after DevilDriver and not see Gore. But Rudy, one of his favorite bands is Gore.
Oh yeah.
So I remember myself and Alberto, we left right after DevilDriver. We're all sweaty, our throats are sore because we were singing every fucking song. We were right on the barricade too. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
And we get on the trolley, end up taking the wrong trolley, the wrong line or whatever, and then had to go back to House of Blues. And right as we get back to House of Blues, Gore had just finished, and Rudy just gets on the trolley right in front of us, blood all over his face. Like, it was fucking amazing. I'm like, who the fuck is Gore?
What happened to you?
What happened to you, man? That was it was hilarious. Yeah, to us, like, because DevilDriver was one of the first bands. Like I got into new metal first, and so all my favorite bands were Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, Korn, obviously, and then DevilDriver came around, and it was DevilDriver and Lamb of God that kind of like started pushing me to the heavier side. So I didn't know who Gwar was. I didn't know who any of those bands were. I'm still learning all these bands, so it was just fucking hilarious. I was like, okay, I'm not missing Gwar again. I got to get
Yeah,
blood soaked come on me.
that was a great show.
The first time I saw Guar was they opened up for the Misfits, Michael Graves era.
Damn.
It was
Damn,
Voodoo
iconic.
Glow Skulls, if you can believe that, which are more of like a ska band,
Yeah.
and Guar, and then the Misfits. And I knew who Guar was. You know, I had a friend named Josh in high school that I actually still keep in touch with, who sent me home with one of Guar's VHS tapes from probably early 90s. And I can't say I'm a huge Guar fan of the music, but live there's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Rudy, you're diehard. You're diehard. Gwar
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
Oh, God. This one might be a little basic, but what is your personal favorite Verona on Venus song so far? And what song would you recommend to a new listener that best represents the band, in your opinion?
Pretty. There's just something about that song, and it does seem to be a fan favorite.
Yeah, I love it. Like I think right now my favorites would be Rodent and Pretty. Those two are like those got added right onto the Spotify playlist when they dropped. I want to get a little bit into DevilDriver because big fan, and
That's okay.
I don't know,
Yeah,
So last September it was revealed that you had left DevilDriver after 20 years. What was your experience following your immediate departure from DevilDriver? And do you still keep in contact with your former bandmates, including the OG lineup?
I keep in touch with all of them except for one. But it was a very, very hard decision for me. I mean, honestly, I think it was the hardest decision I've ever made. It's no secret that certain people thought that Verona and DevilDriver couldn't coexist. And I was really disappointed that Boecklin had thrown in the towel with the new record, after we had spent, I want to say that he came, he lives in Las Vegas now, and I think he flew in twice and stayed with me for a week and, worked on a bunch of material together. And everything that me and Jon Miler had at that point, he just made better. Boecklin is a phenomenal songwriter. And I was like, that was always really the core of what DevilDriver is and to me should be, was instrumentally me, Miller, and Boecklin writing together. Jeff always came up with some really cool shit too, and Des on vocals. And when Boecklin called me up and told me that he's just like, dude, I just can't do this, and I'm not going to get into why, but I was just like, fuck. It did kind of make me not want to do it anymore, and I was already kind of feeling, even before, like, one of the reasons why I think I didn't leave sooner is because I wanted to rekindle that writing relationship. I've always kept in touch with both of the Johns, ever since they left the band. But I wanted to, for one, I wanted to see if we could create that magic again, the three of us. Now that we're older, we're wiser, we're not going to bicker over stupid shit like we did when we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
We all have more experience in the music industry and just life in general. Like, I think this could probably be the coolest DevilDriver written since Last Kind Words.
Yeah.
And after he decided not to do it anymore, I got on a plane. I went to El Salvador for a week and just went surfing with my friend Billy. And it was on the way home where I was just, something clicked in me, I just kind of went down there, it was like going to El Salvador for me is like a reset button.
Yeah.
And on the way home, I was like, yep.
Yeah.
I remember being on the plane, just staring blankly at the seat in front of me, just deep in thought. And I don't know how much time went by, but
Jeez.
I was like, I just can't do this anymore. And like my love for it is just not where it should be for me to continue. Like I think it probably would have been bad for everybody.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, you bring up the core of the band being Boecklin and yourself. It's that lineup that happened right after Evan left that for me as a fan, I got into DevilDriver on the first record, but it was just something about the Fury. Like the band went from being like this cool band that I just discovered to neck and neck with Korn for me, like as my favorite band, and that just kind of stayed that way from like Last Kind Words, Pray for Villain, which is my favorite DevilDriver record of all time, and then Beast. But then it was like after the guys left, there what like you could hear it, you could hear the loss of that energy. Did you take on more of a writing role after they left, or did the other new members pick up more of a writing role after Boecklin and Jeff left?
Trust No One was prominently written by me,
Mm-hmm.
and dude, it was weird. It felt lonely,
Yeah.
when I was working on that record, and I was just getting to know Austin and Neil, and we clicked right away. Like, they are two of my most favorite people on earth. And I do think that we wrote some really good stuff for
Oh yeah.
with Dealing with Demons, Volume 1 and 2, and Trust No One. But, you replace writers, it's, you know, you're not going to capture the same thing when you swap out writers.
Yeah.
And, I can't take credit for writing a whole lot of stuff on the Fury. I was the new guy. And,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that I came in before the Fury and kind of like changed everything with the writing style, but that's completely not true. It was the fact that Evan wasn't in the band anymore because he wrote probably 90% of that first record.
Yeah.
And then they brought me in, and I wrote like Pale Horse Apocalypse and Hold Back the Day,
Oh,
and
no. My favorite song
um
right there.
but I was the new guy. When you're the new guy in a club, you don't act like you've been there for years.
Yeah.
So I treaded lightly, and luckily, Hold Back the Day became the first thing that would be released off the Fury. Monty Connor from Roadrunner Records really liked that song. So he kind of pushed, or, politely asked Boecklin and Miller, like, I know he's new, but why don't you let him write a little bit more on Last Kind Words? And Boecklin and I didn't always see eye to eye, and we have very different writing styles. But man, when I would write a song and he would come in and add his 2 cents to it,
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's really where a lot of our greatest material came out. And Miller was always the guy, like, I didn't always like what Boecklin wrote. He didn't really always like what I wrote. But when we found a common ground, it was really good. But for the most part, like these riffs that Miller would bring to the table, everybody liked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was a massive influence on the style of the music as well. That's why I was so excited, to write with them again. But, I'm getting off. I kind of
No.
lost my train of thought.
I'm just enjoying it. I'm just enjoying it. Actually, that kind of goes to my next question, which is: were there any specific songs or guitar solos that felt especially personal or meaningful to you in DevilDriver that you had a big hand in writing?
Still to this day, I think the coolest solo I've ever written is "I've Been Sober."
this. Like,
dude. I could probably hum that, dude. I fucking love that song. I was actually gonna say, because you brought up that the Scandinavian metal is a huge influence on you. Were you a part? I think when I think of DevilDriver and Scandinavian metal, I think of Waiting for November. Were you a part of writing that song?
No, that is one of my favorite songs, and I actually did like a playthrough and
Mhm.
posted it to my Instagram shortly before I left the band. And we always tried to get Dez to do that song, but it was very personal to him because
Mhm.
of what it's about. And he never wanted to do it, but it's always been one of my favorite songs. I take it back. I think Miller mostly wrote that song, but if I remember correctly, I can't even remember for sure. I think I wrote the solo. Actually, and I know I did. So that was my contribution to that song. But I don't think I wrote any of the rest of that one. I think that was mostly Miller.
Is there a specific moment or moments that you would call your proudest during the 20 years that you were in DevilDriver?
Live or songwriting?
Uh, Either or. I would go with either. We'll go with live. We'll go with live first.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pick four that are kind of ties.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I try to do this in order here too. Um, that massive circle pit that we had at download.
Yes.
Oh, I've seen that video. Fuck.
So it is true that we tried to get Guinness Book of World Records out there, and we even got a reply from them. And they were kind of snotty about it. Like, I remember Dez showing me the email, and it had this tone. At least I remember it having this tone that was kind of like, "How dare you waste our time with this?
What the?
Like,
Oh, wow.
What the fuck?
Don't you know who we are? We're Guinness. Run along, silly metal band."
God.
But Jesus Christ, man, I remember Dez just getting people to go back and back, and
Yeah.
like Phil Anselmo is standing right behind me, and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And one of the main security guards down front, he has his headset on with his microphone, and he's looking at Dez going, "Don't do this."
No.
And Dez is, I'm probably one of the only people that heard it, because he moved the microphone away and looked at him and go, "Sorry, bro." And they just screams out, "Meet the Wretched," and we went into it. And
Oh,
I think for about 2 seconds, I stopped playing because I was like, someone's going to die. Like, like I've never seen that many people just, and it wasn't a wall of death. They just kind of just started this circular motion right away. And I was just like, fuck, like
Jeez.
just absolutely mind blowing. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched videos from that day and I still get chills. Just like, I can't believe we did that.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
nice.
Another one was when we played Main Stage Wacken. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
I couldn't. We played during the day. I could not even see where the people ended. There were so many damn people out there.
Goddamn.
And I remember walking out on the side of the stage. I don't even remember what song it was, and standing in front of the LED screen, and then walking back to the stage and just putting my hand up on the LED screen and just feeling the LED screen. I don't know why that pops out to me so much, but that was the one moment in the show after looking out at the crowd and just like I need to touch something just to kind of
Yeah.
to remember this moment.
Yeah.
And so that really sticks out.
That's cool.
And then going back in time a little bit, the first time we played Moscow,
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting that, because we played St. Petersburg first. So, I mean, we could do a whole podcast on just our experience going from Estonia to St. Petersburg and then to Moscow. It was hell. but that's a story for another time. I could go on all
Yes.
day about that. We were all very tired. I don't remember it being a bad venue at all, but I was like, I just can't wait to get into the dressing room and take a nap. And I get into the dressing room and it's just all tiled floors. There's chairs, nowhere to lay down. So
Fuck.
I tried to take a nap on the tiled floor. It was unsuccessful, but one of the craziest crowds I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I think we had every tech that we had with us, plus probably three of the house security guards, were just constantly throwing people back into the crowd the whole time. And it didn't matter that I hadn't slept in like 36 hours. Like I was like, dude, now I'm awake.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And the fourth one that really stands out for me is the second time we played Ukraine.
Okay.
They're just as rowdy as the Russians. I mean, holy shit. There's a Neil was in the band at the time, and he went out on the rail to play one of his solos, and he starts soloing, and someone hands him a road flare.
Oh shit.
And, and he takes the road flare, and just Neil, just being the amazing guitar player that he is, he just played the solo on one hand and held up the road flare.
No.
Dude,
Oh my god.
That's epic as fuck.
And there's pictures of it.
Yeah. Oh
And
man.
I was just like, no, that's cool. But it was, I think, it was a smaller festival, but there was still a good amount of people there. I mean, it wasn't like Vakken or anything like that. But I think we headlined it. And we had played Ukraine one another time, and it was, I think I remember it being okay.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really, my hopes for this festival weren't really high, and then I was like, damn. He got some DevilDriver fans out there. This is amazing.
Yeah. God, that's fucking crazy.
But those are, as far as live shows, those are the ones that stick out in my head the most.
Those are awesome.
Other than like the first couple shows that I played with the band opening up for In Flames, those are obviously, the first ones you always remember. Everything in between starts to become a blur, especially
Right.
with the amount of alcohol that we were going through back in the day.
God, dude. I might have watched that the DVD that came with Pray for Villains while you guys were making that record. We watched it so many fucking times.
Oh, we
dude.
did.
Just like the way it starts with Dez throwing that fucking, what was it, like a whiskey bottle at the wall, and you're right there, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Are they about to break up?
No,
fuck.
dude, Des and I kissed and made up a couple hours after that happened. I was just like, I'm going to my, and definitely not Dez's fault, or all Dez's fault.
Yeah.
I definitely take half the blame for that situation, and it's a long story, but something happened during the show, and we had a rule not to talk about the show when we came off stage about things that went wrong. I broke that rule, and I was kind of heated, and he had just gotten off stage, and it just escalated.
Yeah.
Not one of our proudest moments, but shit happens.
Yeah.
And I went to bed in my bunk on the bus, and Des walked up and knocked on my curtain. Hey, Mike, can we talk? And it was just like, I'm sorry too. I love you too. Are we cool? Absolutely. And it was squashed.
Nice.
That's just what happens. And on top of it, we were all drinking a lot back then, which doesn't help matters. I mean, Jesus Christ, we went through so much fucking alcohol.
Fuck.
Not as much as some other bands out there. Like, there were definitely bands out there that had us beat, but yeah, we liked to drink back then, and luckily I cannot drink like that anymore, nor do I want to.
What a way to open the DVD though, because that's just the way it started. I was like, I'm glued. All right, let's fucking go. I'm watching this. I think I showed you guys a couple times too, like back in the day. I was like, you guys got to check this out. And then you wait until like I think like halfway through the film to get the kind of the resolution of like you guys had worked it out and everything. But it's like the whole thing is leading up to that moment, which was really shout out to the editors. But yeah, I've one of my favorite band documentaries of all time is that Pray for Villains DVD.
We had a few discussions about it, and it ultimately came down to if Mark Morton and Randy Blythe can
Oh,
put on their
yeah.
DVD of them kicking the shit out of each other, we can
Right.
post an interesting, it like we said, it's not a proudest moment, but it's like this is what it's like to be in a band. Like this
Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
happens. You
Yeah.
are going to argue over some of the dumbest shit with people that you love to death.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to kiss and make up. I always, and I always tell my friends, like, especially with guys, it's just like sometimes it's fun to watch your friends get hurt. And sometimes you just got to beat each other up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Mhm.
I've been in the band with these guys almost 10 years, and I could definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
That moment.
definitely.
Yeah. We argue fucking so much. So to kind of start wrapping things up, I want you to pick one DevilDriver track and one Verona on Venus track that best define you as a guitarist, musician. What would that be and why?
Well, Pretty, as we discussed
Mhm.
before. I mean, I do really like what I did with No One, but I can't really pick that one because it's a cover. As far as DevilDriver, I'm gonna probably go back to I've Been Sober. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite DevilDriver songs from start to finish.
Mhm.
It's one of my favorites, but as far as that solo goes, I don't think I was ever able to top that solo. Boecklin says that his favorite solo that I ever wrote is the one that I did for Hardened on Beast.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
For some reason, he's like, dude, that is the best solo you ever written, without a doubt. And he's like, I got friends that back up my theory on that. I remember him telling me that.
Got factual
Um,
evidence.
yeah, but there's something about I've Been Sober, and if you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, go look up on YouTube. There's a guy that did a classical version of that solo. It's pretty old. It's been out for probably like 10 or 15 years. And I mean, it was so good I had to hit the guy up and just through YouTube, just like, dude, this is this is very cool. And it's not the whole song, it's just like the ending, the big long minute and a half outro or however long it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really like how that song came out, and especially that solo. It's one of the few solos that I still remember how to play, and I don't think I'll ever forget.
Yeah. That's definitely in my ballpark of like top 5 DevilDriver songs. That's got to be on the list for me. Yeah, I loved your work on that song. That's amazing.
Going back to earlier when you mentioned that you had some songs already written like many years prior. For example, you mentioned Red Dead Rose, and a couple other. When you did the vocals this time, did you feel that you had to make any changes, or was it the roadmap already there and you just like laid down vocals? Like, just wondering if anything changed like from the time.
I never really had to, at least on the parts where I'm singing and not screaming, I would hear conflicting notes with what I was playing instrumentally versus what I was singing. So I would have to kind of go back and change things instrumentally. And there's a lot of overdubs in pretty much all the Verona songs, to the point where when I gave all the tracks to Lhasa. He was just like, bro, are you kidding me? I'm like, don't worry, there's room in there. Just, if you feel like it shouldn't be there, then just don't mix it in. But yeah, it was kind of a new thing to me to have to listen and go, wait a minute, you know, there's one little part where what I'm singing is like a major or a minor second interval in the music compared to what I'm singing melodically on the track, and I'd have to go in and you know figure out a way to to fix issues like that.
Yeah.
Now, I am a big fan of dissonance. Sometimes it doesn't bother me, but every now and then when I'd listen closely, I'd just be like, ugh, that doesn't work. Like I need to move
Yeah.
I need to move that one note up or down somewhere because it's
Right.
just not working right there. Um, I had to do that on the Hate Ballet.
Okay.
In the chorus, I just had it. I remember having to change one chord. And when I was teaching that song to my guys, they were kind of like, why did you it's just this one little part in the song where you play that chord. I'm like, it doesn't work vocally unless you play that note. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Rudy, you had a question?
Actually, I have two.
Okay.
First question. I know how you mentioned that you worked with Wednesday 13. I want to know how that experience was. He's personally one of my favorite bands out there, so I was curious how that was.
It was so awesome.
Nice. Yeah, he
I
seems like a fun
love,
guy.
oh my God, he's so fun. Um, all the guy, but like, dude, I love that record. And they wanted to go in a heavier direction, and Des was managing them at the time, and he suggested me to produce it and mix it. And um, hey, Wednesday's a character
Yeah, he is.
in the most awesome way. But I had so much fun working with him. Like he was where he did all the vocals was right here.
What? That's awesome.
And I set
That's
up
fucking cool.
this. I got some. I wanted to give him. I didn't want him to be looking at me while he was recording because I don't have a vocal booth in my studio, and I don't like recording vocalists in a vocal booth anyway. Like I want them to be in the same room as me.
Yeah.
So I got some lighting trusses, like big stands with shaped like a T, and some U-Haul moving blankets, black ones. They had to be black, obviously. And I mean, he would bring in like some inspiration for himself every day, like a picture of Rambo or something from a horror movie or GI Joe, and kind of like he's like
That is
this is what I'm singing into today. And
Cool.
we'd do a line and then he'd tell me a story, and then he would do another line, and we had he had his Peter Steele voice,
Oh shit.
and he had his Wednesday voice, and he had another one was his ogre from Nerds, nerds.
Yeah.
So, which is actually quite a common thing. I remember Mark Lewis telling me that he kind of went through the same process with Glenn Benton when he was recording a Deicide record, about Glenn's different voices, and you name them so you could producer artist can get it on the same page. And um I must have spent 50% of the time laughing my ass off with him. It was a lot of fun, and it was a fun record. I really liked the songs. That's when I first met Troy, and he became one of my best friends. And the funny thing is, Troy from Wednesday 13 and my old roommate Patrick that I mentioned earlier have known each other since elementary school.
Wow.
God damn.
small world.
And I purposely did not tell Troy, and I decided to not tell Patrick that he was coming here to record.
Mhm.
So Patrick just came home one day, and here's one of his best friends from grade school. And Patrick was in a band called the Union Underground.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, they did
So
the theme song for Raw for WWE. Right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Across the
yeah,
nation. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
Really
So he and Troy was almost the bass player for that band, but I think
Wow.
he was in another band at the time, and he didn't want to leave because I think they were doing pretty well around the San Antonio area, and so he didn't become the bass player from Union Underground, but yeah, they've known each other. It's amazing. I'm sure you guys know this, how tiny the whole metal community is. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's so much smaller than what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of knows everybody, and Ramon, I probably spent the most time with him because I always say that drummers and vocalists have it the worst on tour, but then guitar players have it the worst in the studio.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, vocalists do doubles, but you don't double bass. You don't
Mhm.
do bass overdubs. Um, you don't double track drums. Like there's just you got your drums, you got your bass. You know, vocals are layered to an extent, but
Yeah.
then you could just have so many different layers of guitar
Mhm.
in metal
Mhm.
that it just goes on forever. And it's just okay. We got, especially in the days when we would do 4 rhythm tracks, because Fury, I think everything up until Beast is 4 rhythms.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And then we kind of started doing just 2 and maybe putting one down the middle
Yeah.
in some cases. And I started to notice that, like, yeah, it's maybe a little thinner of a guitar tone, but you can hear the pick attack a little bit better with just
Yeah.
2.
Okay.
So I could go both ways, but yeah, guitarists definitely have it the worst in the studio, which is why Ramon and I spent so much time together
Yeah.
on that record. And at the time they had this guy named Kyle Castronovo, I'm pronouncing his name right, who's actually the son of um the drummer of Journey,
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh,
Damn.
and phenomenal drummer. I mean,
Yeah.
just dude, I hardly had to edit those drums at all.
Damn.
And
sick.
one of the weirdest things too, when I remember we went and did the drums at Steve Evans' studio when he had a place down in Orange County, and I'm in there trying to like mime drum parts to him, to give him some ideas for some songs. And I noticed he's right-handed, but he would start playing songs with his left foot. So the downbeat was on his right hand,
Yeah.
Okay.
but the downbeat was on his left foot.
It's like,
And that's just how he plays. He just starts with his left every time.
jeez,
And I
that's
was
weird.
like, yeah, I was like, dude, that is so weird. But just really, really phenomenal musician. He plays guitar, he sings, he does everything. Oh, yeah, it was a super cool record. Um, there was some talk. Wednesday and I actually started working on a Murder Dolls record together.
Oh shit.
What?
Ooh.
Never went past a couple of demos. He came down to my house and played some guitar, and he had some drum tracks that a drummer of like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be talking about this, but a very, very well-known drummer did the demos. And but shortly after that, Joey passed away, and the whole thing just turned to
Yeah.
dust.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
and honestly, I don't know if Joey was going to be a part of it or not. I think
Mhm.
maybe him and Wednesday were talking about it, but I was really excited to work with Wednesday again. So when that whole thing just kind of came to a screeching halt, I was like, fuck.
Yeah. No. Dude.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Damn. Did you have another question?
Yeah, and my other question was, I know you've toured with so many bands. What band partied the hardest while you were on tour? I don't know. I mean, I know you toured with Guar. I feel like Guar would be amazing fucking to party with. But from your experiences, which band was like one that you just
You
like?
know what? I mean, Guar wasn't even. I wouldn't even put them in the top 10. I mean, they had
Oh
been
shit.
around for so long at that point. I think you have a tendency to party more in the beginning,
Yeah.
and then you
Right.
either end up kind of teetering out or going to rehab.
That's fair.
Um, we God, Dimmu Borgir was definitely one of the
Ooh.
top party tours for sure. Um, a band that we really immediately gelled with just right off the bat, and this happened in Germany, where, some bands you meet and, you don't really hang out. And then there's other bands where it's just like you can't wait to see them and you totally bummed out when the tour ends. And one of those bands was 36 Crazy Fists.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Nice.
shit.
Damn.
We played a show with them I think it was in Stuttgart, Germany. It was just like an off date during
Yeah.
festival season. And I remember just going to a bar with the guys afterwards. And, um, he usually didn't go with us. I think, with his time in Cold Chamber, I think he had gotten a lot of that partying with other people out of his system. But we were all in our 20s still. And we're like, dude, we're going to go fucking drink.
Fuck it.
And, I remember hanging out with those guys, and it just felt like I knew them for 20 years already. So they were always some of my favorite people. I never toured with them, but I heard Children of Bodom was up there.
Oh yeah.
Got it.
Um, Spent a lot of time. Not all the guys in Wednesday 13. And Troy has since quit drinking, but he and I, you know, it would be. Sometimes it wasn't a whole band. Sometimes it was just like one member.
Yeah.
Where it's like, God, uh, it's been so long and my memory is such shit. But like, me and the bass player from Cancer Bats, he was my drinking buddy. Marco from Lacuna Coil, he was my drinking buddy on
Wow.
a
Oh,
couple
nice.
tours. Yeah, it's like there are certain tours where I always seem to find like my drinking buddy. And um, Troy was definitely that guy when we were out with Static X. And we were out with Cancer Bats. I just remember um while they were playing, I'd show up with like, a shot of whiskey for him, and then at some point during our set, he'd be standing back there like holding the whiskey for me. And but right right around, I mean, I've had my days of drinking on tour, which I would definitely say was heavy, but I was never one to drink when I got home. When I came home, I just completely stopped.
Yeah.
When I was like, the party's over, I want to get back in the water, I want to surf, I want to get back in shape. So that was I always had a balance.
That's good. That's good.
But right around when I was 30 years old, I just started waking up and I was like, I am absolutely sick and tired of being hungover all the time. I can't do this anymore. So
Yeah.
even when I had my drinking buddies, when I was getting closer to 40, it was on a much different level than when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
It's just something happens to your body. You just can't put it up anymore. And like I say, you either slow down and get sick and tired of the hangovers or the stupid stuff that you pull on tour and, getting into fights with your band members, or you end up going to rehab at some point, or, you end up killing yourself. So you just can't do it forever.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's a young man's game.
Yeah.
I know yesterday we were just jamming with our new singer and we got some Ground Malo to like kind of, hey, welcome, And I felt my wife made me like a big drink of Ground Malo and squirt. And man, I woke up this morning feeling like shit. I wasn't buzzed or anything. I wasn't drunk. It was like 4 p.m. And then I got home. I fell asleep and then woke up this morning. I was like, God, dude, it feels like I've been drinking all night. So I feel that. I feel that for
That
sure.
was this morning.
That was this morning. I woke up feeling like shit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I spent the whole day just chugging down water. I feel great now, like I feel fine, but man, dude, I was like, oh,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
feel like it's right after my 21st birthday. I was like, dude, and it's just like one drink. It's just the one drink. You had the same drink too, I think.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
do more than one.
Mike, thank you so much for coming on, man. This
Yeah,
was
thanks,
so
dude.
awesome.
Thank
Yeah, I know we were mostly quiet, but just listening to the stories, man. DevilDriver is one of my favorite bands of all time, and I always want to support the former members' projects, because DevilDriver to me really helped me through high school, really helped me through a lot of very bad times, and just go every time I went to a DevilDriver concert. Came out of the show feeling recharged, just kind of ready to get back to it. Every time you guys came to San Diego between like '05 to like fucking, I don't know, like 2010, like we went to like every show.
Mhm.
And the one time I I had a fucking I had nerve damage in my face.
Oh my
So
god,
I couldn't go, so I gave them a poster to get you guys to sign, and he got it signed and didn't even give it to me. He just kept it for himself. I was like, "Hey
You
man, I
guys-
can't go. I can't
Hey,
go."
I'm guessing you know where he lives though, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
Hey, dude, a little B&E in the middle of the night never hurt nobody, especially
Exactly.
your friends. Just go break into his house and go steal that.
Yeah.
Go steal that poster back.
He's still hiding the motherfucker. It's somewhere here.
in
Somewhere
this
here.
room.
But yeah, dude,
Well,
you're
tell you what. I still do have a bunch of memorabilia that may or may not be signed by all of us.
oh shit.
Send me an email and I will go. I've got a bunch of stuff in my attic that I've hung on to for situations like this. So if I have anything, I'll mail it to you.
I appreciate that, man. I will definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Since yours
Um,
got stolen.
Yeah, motherfucker, dude. Motherfucker. But yeah, man, it was so awesome to have you. I go back with DevilDriver. Like I was even on the original the website forum. I still remember my username. It was Needles for some reason, and I was on there like every day in the school library, just like, oh shit,
yeah.
somebody from Devil, like Dez either posted or I think Boecklin posted one time, and I'm just like, oh, just interacting with all the fans and everything, and meeting people at the show, and it was like its own community. And I still talk to some of those guys to this day, which is really cool. But I always want to support the members. Like I'm a big fan of Bad Wolves, supported Boecklin with that, and I love what you're doing with Verona, and I just really wanted to get you on to talk about that. My wife says hi too. She's a big DevilDriver fan. I got her into DevilDriver, after we got together. She still has the original pennant that I got at '05, and I gave it to her in like 2012, and she still wears it sometimes,
Mhm.
which is
Nice.
pretty cool. And my son loves it too. Yeah, man, I really appreciate this as a huge fan and a longtime fan. I love what you're doing with Verona, and I truly appreciate you being on the show, man.
You're welcome. And to tell you the truth, I enjoy these longer interviews than the short ones. When the interviews that I do sometimes that are just like 20 minutes long, it's just kind of like that's it. Like we're just getting started. So I really don't mind doing sitting down. I mean, shit, we've been chatting for an hour and 45 minutes now. So,
Hell yeah.
but it just it takes me time to kind of get things flowing a little bit and remembering all
Yeah.
these stories. And if you go on this long, a lot of shit, half the stuff that I said, I probably haven't even thought about in 10 years, some of it. So thank you for bringing it out to me and reminding me of all the good memories.
You got you. I got more.
There's a
I
lot
got,
of them.
Yeah, I got just more stuff, but we got to get you back on, man. We got to bring you back on when Verona drops the next album. We got to get you
For
back
sure.
on soon, man. Yeah, I would love that very much.
Definitely.
No, man, just appreciate taking time because yeah, man. I'm in a metal band with this guy, so it's like just hearing all these stories and like inspirational and taking time out of your day to like talk to us is amazing.
What's the name of your band?
Defy the Tyrants.
Defy the Tyrants.
Yeah, so we're down here in San Diego.
Okay.
And if Verona ever wants to play down here, we can love to open for you guys. If anything, Brick by Brick is owned by previously the As Light Dying guys, but Jordan still runs it. I don't know.
Jordan's still involved.
Yeah,
I am
you
going
guys,
to be. I am going to be booking more shows soon.
Sweet.
And I do want to come down to San Diego. I want to go up to Sacramento, and
Hell yeah.
I really want to get out to Arizona. That's kind of like those are my main places I want to go next. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, Mike, thank you so much, man. And where can our listeners find you, find Verona? What are the best pages to follow for new listeners?
Everywhere. I probably spend most of the time posting to the Verona Venus Instagram, and I finally caved in. I've had a TikTok account for Verona since I started the band, but I finally caved in. I haven't posted anything on my personal TikTok yet, but I was like, well, I guess I
Yeah.
might as well get on that. But Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, it's everywhere. So if you go look for it, and I'm slowly gonna be throwing out some more videos on our YouTube channel. I've got luckily a friend of mine recorded pretty at the whiskey from start to end. Like he got the whole song. And
Yeah.
I haven't posted that yet, but I'm gonna be putting that up soon.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to that, man. All right, Mike, we're gonna let you go. You have a wonderful night, man, and I'll keep
You
in
too.
touch, man. Appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
take it
Yeah,
easy.
man.
Have a good night, you
Bye.
guys.
Thanks,
Too.
man.
All right, guys. So that is it for this episode. What a conversation. Whew.
I'm like
That was a
wiping
good one.
It's
big
crazy.
sweat off forehead.
How like you're reminded how small the metal community, like the metal world, really is, dude.
Yeah.
And
That
how
is true.
everybody kind of knows somebody, and it's like,
You're
was
6
a trip.
degrees from everybody, which is fucking hilarious.
yeah,
For example, I was gonna kind of bring this up, and I'm not gonna say the name because Mike didn't say the name, so I'm not gonna say the name. But I have a connection to the guys in DevilDriver because one, I'm good friends with a guy named Travis Neal, and Travis Neal has been subbing. He's been our sub vocalist for some time now, for our band Defy the Tyrants. Travis Neal is known for being in Divine Heresy with Dino Cazares and those guys, and so he took over for, I'm gonna just blank name, you can probably Google this, and that person was in a band and left a band with John Boecklin from DevilDriver called Bad Wolves, and so it's pretty cool to kind of have these like little degrees of separation a little bit,
Right.
and not only that, but I think I'm very curious to talk to Austin soon. Austin, the drummer for Verona on Venus, also the drummer for DevilDriver. Our homie Esty is friends with him. And when
Oh, that's cool.
I told Esty I was going to have Mike on, he was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to have Austin on." "Oh, well, I'll hook you up with Austin." And I'm like, "That'd be fucking cool too, man. That'd be awesome." You know,
Right.
I love
That's
John Boecklin is my all-time favorite drummer, but Austin came in and just slayed. So I'd be real interested to talk with Austin and see how that goes. So maybe
sure.
at some point in the future. How did you guys feel about this episode?
And that was cool. Like he had so much to say, and like all the experiences he brought up, in DevilDriver, and then like his new experiences with starting this new band. I was like, God damn.
I like about the new band and how he had to, kind of adapt.
Mhm.
It's like you're doing vocals now. You're head of the project. I definitely like related with that because, I was like frontman for a previous band, before Defy the Tyrants, and holy crap, man! Like when having not done it, and just thinking about if I had to do it again. It's like I had to like activate these switches, that I don't even know if you know what I mean. Like it's kind of like riding a bike, right? You jump back in, but like nah, man, you have to like really like syncopate yourself and like get things down to motor skill to be able to like do both. Because it's a different mindset. Like being a vocalist, like I definitely think I'm more of like a writer. Even when I was doing vocals back then. I didn't really think like a vocalist or write like one. I definitely input what I wanted. I had things to say, but Brandon would like help me, and come up with deliveries and stuff like that. So just hearing him, Mike talk about, the things he had to like overcome and kind of like, I was like, damn, that's fucking sick. So yeah, super inspiring.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's like how Rudy said, like small world. When he just started talking about Wednesday 13 out of nowhere, I was like, God damn, it is a small world.
Yeah. Either way, this was an awesome conversation, and so happy you jumped on. I'm like I don't know if adrenaline is the actual word, but just like I'm so drained right now.
Your dopamine.
I
My
think
dopamine.
You released a
we're-
lot of dopamine
Yeah.
this evening.
All right, guys. So we will catch you guys on the next one. I know I said up top, but you guys follow us on YouTube or subscribe to us on YouTube to watch all of our upcoming episodes. Follow us on Instagram to see some behind the scenes stuff at Metalology Podcast. Follow us on TikTok as well at Metalology Podcast to watch some special little clips that we post. You guys can follow me at Anthony_7string. Follow our band Defy the Tyrants at Defy the Tyrants. Handro, take it away.
You can follow me at metal_Handro on Instagram.
You can follow me as the one who knocks on Instagram. The O's are zeros and underscore after every word.
And you can follow your boy Bagi at slap_the bass.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Mike, if you're watching, for coming on. And we look forward to having you come up again sometime here on Metalology.